We had a police commissioner that wasn't willing to discipline his own brother. I just got to be honest. When his own brother violated the rights of a fellow officer inside of the police department, he was not willing to discipline his own brother, named Bielefeld, Chuck Bielefeld. He was allowed to leave and go to Annapolis Police Department. So if you're not willing to discipline within your own household, then what will you say to the rest of the officers that are inside of the Baltimore City Police Department? And that is a real issue. And we will be calling for the removal of that police commissioner right now. It's nothing personal, but it's principle. That Baltimore has to have a new start. And it starts up top. The officers that are good officers in there got to know that those of us who are concerned, coalition of men and women, support them, and we got their back. They have to know that. And when you get a Baltimore City Police Department that says that we can only do a press statement and not a press conference, we won't take questions from the media. They would say it's going to take 3 weeks to give us this information, but already it's taken them 3 days to say that Officer Torbit was the one who pulled the trigger that killed Sean Gamble. Now, how do they know that, but they don't know what happened to Officer Torbit? And so are they throwing this man, are they throwing this good officer under the bus already?
Yes.
Are they using that to cover for what the other officers did? You can't tell us what the 4 other officers did, but you know what the officer who is now deceased has done. That doesn't add up. If it was a 1013, the question is, who called the 1013? What officer called him to the scene? But those answers, or those questions, have not been answered by the police commissioner. But yet he would allow this information to be printed in the Sun paper that Officer Torbit was the one who pulled the trigger that ultimately ended the life of Sean Gamble. So those are some questions that we're going to have to ask of the police commissioner, but those who are our elected officials are not asking him that. Our mayor's not asking that question. And some people say don't be hard on the mayor. Well, let's be clear now. If you want something that you've never had, we're going to have to do some things we've never done.
Yes.
All right? And the people in the street want justice. The families want justice.
Yes, sir.
The ordinary citizens want justice.
That's right.
The world is watching Baltimore. We got a 16-year-old baby that's missing. And it's not like that's a norm for a child to be missing in this city who comes in from Monroe, North Carolina. It's not a norm for a good officer like Officer Torbit, who did all the things we tell our children to do. Go to school, get a good education, stay out of trouble, go to church, make sure you give back to the community. He did all of that and much more. And then his life is taken, and less than a week before his funeral, we already being told that he was the one that created all of the problems here. That's what they're putting. He's the one that created the problems here. Not looking at the injustice that was committed against Officer Torbit, not looking at the injustice that was committed against Sean Gamble, not looking at the injustice that was committed against the other officers and the other individuals that was wounded as well. So we're going to have to continue to stay vigilant. We got to continue to stay updated regarding what is going on. We got to be willing to rise above the lies and be willing to be truth merchants in this time and this hour. Because there are those that don't want this type of gathering to take place.
Right.
They don't want you to come out.
That's right.
They want you to leave it to them, as they say.
Right.
And we've left it to them for too long, unfortunately. And as long as we do this, we'll lose good men and women in the streets of Baltimore. And they're officers in blue uniforms. They're young men out in the streets in blue jeans. They're young babies in blue uniforms that we do not have to lose. But as long as we sit down and don't stand up, then this will continue to happen, and we won't have justice. So this is why we're asking for the Justice Department and a federal investigation, because we don't believe that the Baltimore City Police Department is willing to investigate themselves with some transparency and willing to come back and give us the facts. We don't believe that will happen, that has happened, and if it ever did happen, then it would be like a chicken producing a duck egg. Even though a chicken and a duck are both fowls. And you know that if a chicken ever produced a duck egg, that would be a revolutionary chicken. And that would be a revolution in this city. That if the internal affairs ever came back and said that what those officers did went beyond excessive force. And we haven't seen that, we haven't had that. And too many in this city have been waiting, sitting silently, being patient with our elected officials. I was insulted when I heard the mayor on the radio this morning come on and do a 3-minute interview. A 3-minute, I mean, do we have a mayor or we have a drive-by mayor? I just gotta ask. We have a mayor or we have a drive-by mayor? If you're a mayor, you gotta be the mayor for the people and by the people and of the people. You got to be a man for all the citizens in the city of Baltimore. Not for a certain zip code, not for a certain class, but you must be a man for all of the citizens in the city of Baltimore. Regardless of their creed, regardless of their skin, regardless of their kin, regardless of their complexion, and regardless of their connections.
That's right.
But it's going to take those of us who are here tonight to keep this coalition together, to make sure we continue to plan, make sure we continue to organize, make sure we continue to strategize, and make sure that we stand with the families of Officer Torbit, stand with the family of Sean Gamble, stand with the families of other men and women that have lost their lives in this city and have not even had, as I said before, the honor of having their loved ones to be humanized, because in death they've been dehumanized as well as they have in life. So we have to be willing to do that. But we got some other men and women that are here tonight. I don't want to, again, take up all of the time, but I just want to thank all of you again that have taken time out of your busy schedule, coming out in this cold weather to show that you care. Because when we see things like this happen, as the old saying goes, the only thing necessary for evil to prosper is when good men and women say nothing and good men and women do nothing.
That's right.
That's why it's important that we gave them 3 or 4 days to do something.
Yes, sir.
We didn't wait. We waited and sat and watched.
Yes, sir.
And it's nice to have vigils, but we have to be vigilant. And we didn't see no action. We didn't see no motion coming from City Hall. We didn't see no motions coming from some of our organizations. So we said, if not us, then who? And so this is why we wanted to pull together a coalition and be able to show our people, as many of our people who stand on the shoulders of Dr. King and the civil rights movement were willing to go out in the street to be peacemakers. And yesterday, we got to be willing to be peacemakers today. That's what you and I are born to do. That's what you and I are going to have to do. And if not, we shall be forced to do it. And we have to do that with love. It's not with hate. It's not about hating anybody within the police department. It's not about hating anybody who's an elected official, but we got to have enough love for truth. And we got to have love for ourselves, and we got to have love for the countless children that are watching our actions today. And know that there got to be men and women that love this city, black, brown, red, yellow, and white, just as they change the country, change the scope of this country during the civil rights movement. We now have to be willing to change the scope of the city, change the paradigm in the city, where they're putting things before they put people. And we have to stop that. So again, I thank all of you. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming out in this cold weather.
Yes.
And stand. Give the media a round of applause for coming out. And stand with us as well. And humanizing the life of Officer Torbit, humanizing the life of Sean Gamble, humanizing the life of our young sister Felicia Barnes that is still missing as well. So we thank them for coming out. And we're going to hear from some of our other brothers and sisters that are here tonight, along with Brother Donnie Glover. Got my brother Israel Kason, who's come out from I Can't, We Can. Let's give him a round of applause. Another example of good men that's been turning around lives in the city of Baltimore. So Brother Israel, if you would, just bless us with a few words.
Thank God for allowing us all to